Once you've logged into Fusion, you should see your name up here at the top. If you click on the Hide Show panel, you should see your files, and you know you're good to go. Be sure you're not logged into somebody else's account before you get started. For our purposes today, we're going to make a key tag, and we're going to be 100 millimeters by 45 millimeters. Now, before you start, let's make sure that your units are set to millimeters. If they're not, click on the Change Active Units, and you're going to need to change that to millimeters. Mine's already there, so I'm good to go. I'm ready to start drawing, and to do that I'm ready to create a sketch. I'm going to click on the Create Sketch icon, and I want to draw on this plane here, so I'm going to click there, and my tools are set up and good to go. This is the flat plane that we're lying in. It's the XZ plane. I'm going to click on two-point rectangle. There's additional tools under Create, but the standard ones are going to show up right here. Click on the two-point rectangle, and we're going to start in the center and go down. Don't hit the Enter key or click your mouse yet. We want to be 100 across, and I'm just going to type in 100. Press the Tab key. That'll move to the height, and we'd like it to be 45 millimeters. When you hit the Enter key, you should see your first sketch is ready. It's 100 millimeters by 45. If you've got the wrong numbers, you should be able to double click on that sketch and change it to the dimension you wanted it to be. We'll change it back to 45, and we're ready to keep working. Now if I click on Finish Sketch, it will assume I'm done with that part, and so far all I've got is a rectangle flat on the piece of paper. I'm going to go to my cube control and change to top, and if I want to I can zoom in a little bit with my rolly mouse, and again pan will allow you to move things around with your mouse. To get out of pan mode, simply press Escape. Now over here on our browser, we have sketches. If I click on the drop down for sketches, it shows me I currently have one sketch, and the eyeball is there for both of them, showing me that I am in show mode. I want to edit this sketch. I need to make some changes to it, and to do that I can go down to my history marker at the bottom, and I can right click, and I'm in Edit Sketch. I can go over to the object, and I can also choose, if I'm not in sketch mode, I can click on my object and choose Edit Sketch with my right mouse button. Again, I can also go down here and click on it. So my object is currently 45 by 100. If you're not there, you need to press pause, stop the video for a minute, and get yourself to a 45 by 100 rectangle. I'm still in sketch mode. So I've got under Tools, Modify, I have a choice of Fillet. And a fillet is going to round the edges automatically. And to fill it, I'm going to click on one edge and then the next. And it's recommending a 10 millimeter fillet. That's going to work okay for me. But if you look, I have one and I need 4. So I'm going to continue to click edge to edge and edge to edge until I have all 4 fillets completed. Once I'm happy with how it looks, I can simply hit the Enter key, and it will create my thing. Now it's showing up that I have a warning that some dimensions or constraints were removed. That's because I had these right angles before, and now they're rounded. I'm going to click on Finish Sketch, and the dimensions will go away. And again, I still have just a flat rectangle with rounded corners. If you look at the example has the key tag with a ridge around the outside and writing on the inside. What I'd like to do is create that ridge before I go any further, and that ridge is just inside of the edge. Now I could draw another rectangle and do the corners again, but there's actually a simpler way to do it. If I right-click down on my marker and choose Edit Sketch, or again, you can right-click on it and choose Edit Sketch, I'm back to my sketch tools. Notice that it says Sketch over here. I can create Modify is where I got my fillet, and I also have offset. Offset's the tool that I want, so I'm going to click on offset. I need to make sure that chain selection is highlighted, and then when I click, I can drag. The red line shows where it's going. I don't want to go on the outside, I want to go on the inside. And I'd like my offset position, my offset is going to be 4 millimeters, so I can just type 4, click on OK, and when I finish my sketch, I now have an inside and an outside, or inside and outside, and I'm ready to extrude. When you extrude, it takes a 2D object and turns it into a 3D object. I'm going to go in the center, click in the center, and on my toolbar I have the option of extrude. Again, I can also use my right mouse button and choose extrude. It wants me to select the profile to be extruded. That's this center piece, and it says 1 selected. And the middle is going to be extruded 3 millimeters. So I'm going to change my distance here to 3 and click on OK. Now, as soon as I did that, you'll notice that outside border disappeared. If I look on my browser under Sketches, Sketch 1 is turned off. Click on it and I will now be able to see my sketch again. Otherwise, you may get lost. Go to the outside edge. This time I'm going to use my right mouse button, choose Extrude, and this is going to be extruded 5 millimeters. When I click on OK, and now use my right mouse button to rotate, you should see that you have that little sort of tray effect. If I hide my sketches, you can see that the lines disappear. If I go to top, and down here at the bottom I can choose the fit icon, a little too big, I'm going to roll back out a little bit. You can see that I'm now looking at my basic key tag outline. I'm ready to drill a hole in the upper left hand corner, and to do that I'm going to use the hole tool. Now I can simply create a circle with a sketch, make a circle, and from that extrude and make a hole, but I'm going to use the hole tool. The hole tool will give me additional options. When I click where I roughly want the hole to go, it will show me on the screen, and it shows the hole type. This is a hole that's just a simple hole. This has a counter bore, countersink. We're not worried about those today. And if I go down to the bottom, it shows me the width of my hole. I'd like my hole to be 5 millimeters wide. It doesn't matter how deep it is because I've only got 5 millimeters or less to go through. When I click on, let's make sure it's in the right place. I can drag it using that center hole. This is going to size it, but again, remember, I want it to be 5 millimeters. Usually it's easier to just type to get your dimension. And I'm going to drag it roughly where I want that hole to go. When I click on OK, I now should be able to see a hole through, the ridge around the outside, and if I click on front, I shouldn't, front. I shouldn't see anything sticking up above or below. This is a 1 millimeter per square grid, and this is 5 tall, so I know I've got what I wanted. If I click back on the house, it will give me that angled view, and if I go back to top, I'm good to go. Now, I'm very happy with what I have so far, so I want to hit save, and save it with a name, preferably with your name on it somewhere so that they'll remember what it is. And I'm going to choose save, and that way I'm not going to lose anything that I've done so far. Now, if you find you've made a mistake, remember you can always use the history down here to make a change, or if you're not sure you did the right thickness, if I go down to the first extrude, right click on it, choose edit feature, it shows me that that center is 3 millimeters. I'm going to just cancel because it's what I wanted. Right mouse on the second one, edit features, 5 millimeters, and again right click on the hole, and it shows me that it's 5 millimeters. If I want to make any changes there, I can make the change, and the history marker will then move forward. The last thing I want to do for my key tag is add some text. Now on the Create menu, it will allow you to create any objects, but it doesn't give me all of my sketch choices until I choose Create Sketch. When I choose Create Sketch or click on the Create Sketch icon, it wants to know next, where do you want to go? And you'll see it flashes Select Plane or Planar Face, and this is where I want my text to go. And I may need to grab my pan tool for a second, put it back where I want it. Remember, if you choose the pan hand, you have to hit Escape to go back to regular. I'm looking at the sketch tools, but I don't see the text tool. I actually have to go to the Create menu. On the Create menu, I'm going to go down to Text, and then I'm going to come out on the screen, and you'll see that your cursor is an A, and it asks you to specify the text position. And I'm going to just kind of guess for right now because I don't know how long it's going to be. My last name is Harrison, so I'm going to make the tag say Harrison. I'm going to flip it horizontally, flip it vertically till I get it the right direction. Yours may be in the right direction to begin with. Again, I can use the blue to pull it down. This one is rotate, and unless you really want it rotated, I would leave it at 0 degrees. Now we're going to change the height and see if I can still get it to fit on my tag. That looks pretty good right there. If your name is real long, you're probably going to be limited, or you can just make your key tag longer than 100 millimeters. I've got the text, the height, bold. I'm going to leave it for Arial right now. You can get fancy after you've gotten your first one finished. I'm going to click on OK. And when I click on OK, you can see that I am still in sketch mode because it says Finish Sketch. There's an orange outline around the text, and this is the active element. Move your mouse over the text, right-click, and you're going to see Edit Text and Explode Text. We need to explode text. Now, if you're not happy with your text, stop the video here and go back and get yourself straightened out before we do this next step. Once we have the text exploded, it's taken each of that letters in the word and made them into separate individually editable letters. I'm now going to hit Finish Sketch. And I better turn on my sketch view. You can see all sketches are hidden so that I can see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to extrude all my letters. If you remember, the middle was 3 millimeters and the outside was 5 millimeters. And we'd like the letters to be the same height as the outside edge, which means we need to raise them up 2 millimeters. So I'm going to click on Extrude. And then I'm going to click on each letter, and you'll notice as I click on each letter, it'll tell me what's been selected. I need that one, this one, this one, this one. If you have an I, don't forget you need that dot on the top, S-O-N, and that should be all my letters in blue. The distance I'd like, we said was 2 millimeters. And I can turn it just to double check, and I've got 2 millimeters, and I'm going to click on OK. At this point, I'd like to turn off the sketches so that I can see what my key tag looks like. Now, if you flip it over, you should see nothing. We don't want those letters going all the way through. We simply want them rising up out of the bed, so to speak. If I click on front, I should see that everything is still contained within that. If I accidentally made my letters much taller, let's say that I, change them to 20 instead of, you can see that it would be a major problem. In that case, where I made that quick change, I'm going to just do Undo Edit Feature to get myself back to where I was. Before we save the file, we want to make sure first that we're happy with the letters that we typed. If they're not, we're going to go back to Edit Sketch, and we'll have to hit Edit Sketch and make a change to our letters. We're going to be able to go back and change the outline if we wanted to. You can change anything before it's too late. And again, you can simply move the scrubber back and change back in time, and you can also specify which item you want to change. Once you're done, we're going to take a quick look at it. I'm going to hit Finish Sketch, and I'm happy with how it looks. The last step we need is to save the file in a format that can be printed. To do that, you're going to go to the File menu, 3D Print, and the first thing you need is a selection. You have to click something. It's got to be blue. Once you click on OK, it'll take you to the dialog box, and in that dialog box you're going to give it the name. Now this is the name of the file that's going to be 3D printed. If you're leaving it with Ms. Thompson, it's going to be important that it have a name that she can recognize. So I'm going to say Harrison Key Tag, and I can choose whether I want it flexi or hard. The flexible filament is softer. You can give that a try if you want, or just leave it blank for regular. When you click on Save, the file will be complete. Before you go, you need to save it in Fusion. What we did just there is save a printable file. If you click on the Save icon, it will let you save it here. Now, I've already saved mine once, so I'm going to say with name. And that's going to say I have two versions saved. Now, one with a name and one without the name, because you remember we stopped and saved before we did the name. If I go back to my Hide Show Data panel and I scroll down, I have a lot of files here. If I scroll down to my key tag, I got a lot of them in here. This one's from today. Notice it says version 2. If I click on the drop down, I can see this is the one with the name. This is the one without the name, and I can use it or the one with the name. So if you're doing 2 or 3 different names, it's easy to go back and get one without the name. I'm going to hit the X to close up that window. And the last thing I want to do is click on my name and sign out so that I don't have somebody else active in my account.